Some people say it's all Greek to me, meaning they don't understand a thing. But this is not in Greek. It was originally written in Greek, but it is from the book of Hebrews, which is in the New Testament. And it says this in the 11th chapter: faith is the reality of what we hope for, the proof of what we don't see. The elders in the past were approved because they showed faith. By faith, we understand that the universe has been created by a word from God, so that the visible came into existence from the invisible. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was going to receive an inheritance. He went out without knowing where he was going. By faith, he lived in the land he had been promised as a stranger. He lived in tents along with Isaac and Jacob, who were the co-heirs of the same promise. He was looking forward to a city that has foundations, whose architect and builder is God. By faith, even Sarah received the ability to have a child, though she herself was barren and past the age for having children, because she believed that one who promised was faithful. So descendants were born from one man, and he was as good as dead. They were as many as the number of the stars in the sky, and as countless as the grains of sand on the seashore. All these people died in faith without receiving the promises, but they saw the promises from a distance and welcomed them. They confessed that they were strangers and immigrants on earth. People who say this kind of thing make it clear that they are looking for a homeland. If they had been thinking about a country they had left, they would have had the opportunity to return to it. But at this point in time, they are longing for a better country that is a heavenly one. Therefore, God isn't ashamed to be called their God. He has prepared a city for them. So the words of God for us this day from the book of Hebrews. Now, I wonder how many of you have ever picked up a book at the library or a bookstore, and I don't have a sample of one here, and you look at it and you go like, oh, who's the author? And you open up to the back, and you read who the author is, and you open it up to the front, and you get that little synopsis, and I do or don't want to read it. I've been putting a lot of books back on the shelf. They're just heartbreaking. I'm not there right now. I need a good rom-com, and I'm good, right? You know, that's what I need if I'm going to read. But you got to read that little front piece to know that, and then you read the author and go like, oh, okay, that person's good. Well, if there was a book jacket for the book of Hebrews, this is what it would say, I think. This letter is a message of hope, a sermon of sorts, written to some people a long time ago. End of sentence. The author, unknown, most likely a male who wasn't Paul, but wanted to sound like Paul. Date of authorship, unknown. Exact audience, unknown, but most likely they had incurred some harassment or spiritual difficulties. How many of you would pick up the book? Right? There's so much about the book of Hebrews that are unknown, but somehow this set of writings made it into the canon of the Bible, which means that at the time that the Bible was codified as we know it now, these scriptures were not the only ones. The ones that we have in the Bible, not the hymnal, the Bible, are not the only book writings that were in circulation at the time the Bible was sort of put together. There were other books that we know as Apocrypha and Pseudepigrapha and the Gospel of Thomas and all kinds of other things that were in circulation, but didn't have the same staying power, if you will. They weren't read as frequently. So the books that we have, the stories that we have in the Bible, especially in the New Testament, are ones that congregations, churches around the Mediterranean area found valuable. And for some reason, they found this group of writings by some Paulian wanting to be author helpful. And I think I've loved Hebrews for a long time. There's lots of text within it that are really pithy. They have a lot of meat to them. But today's text is from the 11th chapter, and it talks about hope and hope realized. And these days, I think that's like of vital importance. We got to hold on to something, and I will hold on to hope for sure. To see beyond what is to what might be. Hope keeps our hearts open to possibility and promise. Without hope, Abram would have just stayed in Haran. He would have stayed at home. How much hope and faith did he have to convince his whole family to move where they didn't know where they were going? But I love that the author of Hebrews included that story, that intense, get it, story. Abram and Sarah were intense all their lives. So it's an intense story, both intense in the story that we but intense, always moving, perpetually transitional. They chose to remember that story in a context in which they were just learning themselves how to be Christian. I don't know what it took. How many of you ever gone on a trip? And like, Cooper, if you went on a family trip, did somebody have to convince you to go? Have you had to go places you didn't want to go with the family? Sometimes, right? And then they got to convince you to go, right? Jeremy, you told me your brother wanted you to go to Savannah in July. I told him, and he asked me when I was in Savannah this spring, what's it like? I said, the beach is beautiful. What's it like in July? Inferno, right? So somebody would really, really have to convince you, and you didn't go, right? They chose another destination in the long run anyway, right? But what would it take for your brother to have convinced you to go to a place that's an inferno, right? So what did God have to do to convince Abraham to gather up his whole group of people and move to a place they didn't know? I think it had to be pretty amazing. Now, their journey was long. It wasn't without complications. They made their way into a land that was already occupied, and there God says you're going to have descendants. Now, when you're young and you think you might have children or might choose to have children, that's a possibility. You get to a certain point in your life, I am well past it, just so you know, where that reality is just not reality. So Abram and Sarah went on this intense journey forever and ever and ever, and they're like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? I'm going to have his descendants as many as the numbers of the stars. How many is that? Just a few, and he's got none. Older and older and older they get, it is not happening. It takes enough time that they incur famine. They go to Egypt. There's a whole dicey story about that. You can read in the book of Genesis if you want to. Not quite a rom-com, but sex and intrigue, just in case you were wondering. But by the time they come back, they go from Canaan, where there's a famine. That means a whole lot of people, not just one person food insecure, a whole lot of people. They go to Egypt, they receive food. And when Abram and Lot and family come back, he's rich. He has so much livestock that they have to split the stuff, and Lot goes one way and Abram goes another way. They trusted in that promise. As rich as Abram was, that he had to split his herd with Lot and go their own separate ways so they had enough grazing. Guess how many children Abram had at that point? Zero. He's getting older and older. This is not working. And he still held to the promise of a future. He does have one child with Sarah's son, or Sarah's slave woman Hagar. And then eventually he will have the total of 2 children. 2. Now, these days, that might be what you see in the sky in numbers of stars. But if you stood in the place where you can see the Milky Way, you know that there are a whole lot more than that. Abram trusted. Sarah trusted. And they were faithful even when they didn't see the fullness of the promise. And I think you and I are those stars. I think you and I are those stars. We are part of the fullness. We're the continuation of the promise of God. We are the ones that God calls now and invites into a journey of faith. Faith is the reality of what we hope for, the proof of what we don't see, they say in Hebrews. If we're the faithful followers of God, what is the call on our life? And what should following look like in this time when things seem to shift around us so much? Rudolf Barrow, he was a German 20th century philosopher and politician. He put it this way. He said, when the forms of an old culture are dying or changing, a new culture is created by a few people who are not afraid to be insecure. I think that's amazing. Who are not afraid to be insecure. I don't know how it's going to be. Did Abram, if Abram wanted to be secure, you know where he would have stayed? At home. But he was willing to be insecure. One image I saw was, you know what, an inchworm, imagine an inchworm clawing on a branch, and it gets to the end and it does that thing where it just looks around for the next possibility. That's where I think God puts us. Right at the end of the thing, looking for what might be possible as heirs to the promise of what it is to be God's people. Abram modeled stepping out in faith and hope and promise of God. And my question for us, and we're going to be dealing with this for a while, is, are we willing to be insecure and imagine, envision, and hope for what might be realized? To look as a congregation beyond what we are now to what might be. Now, I told you you're going to get Greek, so Ben can share the next slide. There are some Greek words. Let's see if it's going to come up. Yeah, there's 5 of them here. Kerygma, didache, liturgia, koinonia, diakonia. Anybody know what any of them mean? Ben? No, he knows because he sees the next slide. Okay, kerygma is well, one of them is, have you ever heard of didactic? Somebody being didactic? That comes out of the word didache. No, not being to, but being taught. It's a didactic method. They're teaching you something. Liturgia, you've heard that word before. Liturgy, right? You've heard that word. Koinonia, probably not, but you'll see you'll go like, oh, of course. And diakonia, how many of you grew up in a church or in a life where you've heard of deacons? Deacons are the servants of the church. There's deaconess hospitals over the time. Those are the servants. So Ben can show the next slide. The kerygma is proclamation, didache, teaching, liturgia, worship or the work of the people, koinonia, community, and diakonia, service for others. I think those 5 Greek words that, by the way, to the best of my knowledge, are not in the book of Hebrews, they should have been, are what we do as a church. And all of these things work in different ways, but together to shape our faith. We hear the proclamation of the good news, right? We teach and learn all the time. We worship together. We are in community together. You said, Miriam, you said, oh, it's going to be the weekend. I get to see my friends, right? That's community. That's koinonia, right? Diakonia, service to one another. Ryder, you said you make sandwiches, right? All right, right? That's service to one another, that we serve one another. So on the index cards, I want you to do some thinking, some dreaming about what might be. Things that you go like, it would be so cool if we could. And I do not care about practicality. I do not care about spelling. I do not care about any of it. If it's an image, a vision, an idea, a wonder, or super concrete, that's okay. Now, Larry, this is where we butt heads as a couple. Married 46 years tomorrow. He has endured, right? But I am like, let's put the idea out there and see what happens. He is like, I have an idea. Think, engineer. Here's the final plan. Okay? I don't want a final plan. God will make that final plan. So on the index cards, write anything and everything that you think that the church could be, would be, should be, might be about. What could we do? Or should we do? Or do we do well? You say, I really love that Susie plays amazing music, that Ben always makes the slides move when they're supposed to move. Whatever. Dream, vision, have fun with those index cards. If you need pencils or things, the kids, I want you to make sure everybody's got an index card or 2 or 10. You can write one idea on a card or you can write a couple ideas on a card. I don't care. And I do expect everybody to write something. Okay. And if you need pens or pencils, let us know. And make sure Susie gets one there too. Folks on Zoom, if you want to put your dreams and visions in the chat, we can do that. And Ben's got a lot of index cards at his desk back in the back to write them down. Dream, vision, wonder. Go get a sign your name, and I cannot identify anybody's writing but Larry's, so you're good. You can sign your name if you want, but you don't need to if you don't want to. Zoom people, I'm not seeing anything come up in the chat yet of what you need. All right. I see pens still flying. Great. People are still, or a few folks still writing. But if you want to, Becca, you want to just go around and see if anybody's done. If you want to collect their card, if they're done, you just hold it up and Becca will come get it. Would that be okay, Becca? Sure. I got some done here. Larry's got his. The Bulens have theirs. Becky, you want to go in the back? Larry's ready and Andrew. Okay, I'll take him here. All right. All of these work. All of them work. Okay, you want to hand me those back? And I need you kids to come on up then once I need you. Okay, let's see. Who else? Miriam, you want to collect anybody else has got some out here? Okay. Okay. Got some more. Got them all. And then I need Cooper and Ryder. As you can see, what I've done is I have put on the floor here 5 sheets of paper with each of those Greek words on it. And now the question becomes which category, if only one category, the things go in. And if I have scissors. Are you okay, Beck? Okay. All right. So I need to, boys, I'm going to need you up here. Because I need you to tape these to the things we figure they are. So I'm going to need you to tape. I'm going to need the thing under decide which category it is. Community of people and friendship. Which one would that go under? Do you think? That's that one. All right, then tape that one on there. Do you have one on your hand? And we'll slide it right in there. We should get a garden. We should get a garden. What would be a garden? Any idea which one garden would fall under? Community, it could fall under community. And could it also fall under service? The garden would be for us or for others? For everybody. All right, let's put it under, what do you think? Diakonia or koinonia? Which one? Diakonia. Okay, we're sticking it there. Find a way to reach out to inactive members. Oh, these are right. Okay. Find a way to reach out to inactive members, those folks who aren't able to come or haven't been coming for a while. Which would that be, do you think? You guys, this is like an open forum here. Koinonia and liturgia. Which one do you think? I need a koinonia or liturgia? Koinonia, liturgia. Koinonia? Okay, goes under koinonia, community. Okay, so I love how the use of, this one's a two-sided. I love how we use media on Sunday mornings, reaching out, and how Ben inserts funny and meaningful images. He is so quick. Yes, absolutely. Um, and also how people can follow out online. So we have folks, Betty's here in Pennsylvania, coming with again. So that outreach to there would be, which, is that liturgia? I think that would be. But we can't put it on there yet. I love how Bible messages are made understandable and easier to live here and now. And I love the projects, the brat fry spaghetti dinner, bring us all together to work as a team. So we got 2 sides on this one, but we're going to go on the front side. Ben's amazing multimedia during worship and how Bible messages are. So things, liturgia. All right, let's put that there. Make more meals to the guest house, helping elderly or disabled individuals with home repairs, grass cutting, et cetera, that are still in their home, a way for them to feel comfortable in the church, to contact the church for a request. So more meals to guest house and helping our older neighbors. Which one? Diakonia. That one's liturgia. I know, but we're just going to put that side. Okay. While they tape, we're just going to keep, wrong one. Next one. Okay. So this is build a float for the church, representing the church for the parade, involve everyone in the construction, rummages sales every other year, make a community garden for all the members and residents, produce for everyone, but especially for those in need. What I love about St. John's that already exists, a sense of community and caring, numerous fundraisers, and the church puts the fun in fundraiser. Great sermons. Oh, I'll take that. Involvement in children in activities. We'll take that, right, guys? So build a float and a community garden. We're going this side. Build a float for the parade. That's proclamation. That's proclamation. That's kerygma, right? Oh, Ben's got another one from online. Uh, okay, that one goes, yep, kerygma. It goes in proclamation. All right. One of our online, so members truly care and support each other. Who would that be? Diakonia, koinonia, koinonia. We're good at that koinonia part. Put it on koinonia. We're gonna actually. It almost goes between. Another one is that we would be able to support the guest house and Sussex Food Pantry both through meal and donations, but also financially on a more consistent basis. Diakonia. Okay, I'm hearing it. You're gonna have to show. Okay, so this one is, I would like to have the church have a rock climbing wall. I would also like to have confetti on all the walls. Larry, right? There should be a soccer field and we should sell glitter bombs for charity. Andrew, you're on that one. Okay, so this is a rock climbing wall, soccer field, and glitter bombs. What do you think that falls under? And multiple, maybe. Proclamation. What do you think? Isaac, you got an answer for me. What is it? Proclamation? All right, we're putting that on kerygma. So the ambiance in this place is like no other. Could we add more decorations to really set the tone? So I think that's liturgia, the work of the people to be in worship. Okay, let's put that under liturgia. Yep, right there. Oh, this year's in love. The ladies who sing are amazing. Can we hear them more? That's lovely. And come join us, right? Yes. Make suggestions of songs that you know. Andrew Hine came to me with a new musician that he's been listening to, Forrest Frank. And so I was listening to him all Wednesday night. I went home and listened to some of the songs are great. It's probably not hymnody that we could sing, but we could. I love the community involvement in the Brat Fry. Keep it up. So the ladies who sing, when do they sing? In worship. So liturgia, I think that is, yeah. Here's another one. Assist elders with housework, more food pantry drives, invite other churches or religions to educate us on their beliefs and practices. Blessing of the backpack before school starts. Kids bring their own backpacks and say a prayer to lighten their burdens. So we've got assist elders and food pantry in another card. So that's already there. Invite other churches to educate us. And then the blessings of the backpack. Which one are we going to go with? Which one? Teaching. Okay, we'll put that in DDK. Yeah, because the backpacks take you guys out from here. You don't like this one, Susie. It says Susie to sing as she plays. Some or more styles of music, classes, or even events teaching skills such as sewing, cooking, flower bouquet making, etc. Paint the walls and lead kids activities. Which one? Let's do something to the walls. We should paint the walls. It is okay. So we've got Susie singing as she plays, and more styles of music. So some varieties of music. That's liturgia. Classes or events that we share our gifts and talents with one another, and then painting the walls to just make it more appealing, right? And lead kids activities. So which one are we going to choose from that one? Painting. What's the painting going to be? Susie singing. You already know. So the painting. What does painting the walls fall under? Worship, liturgia. I would think it also could fall under koinonia because around here you don't do it by yourself, generally, unless you're Chad and you're painting the front door. He painted the front door. It's beautiful. We need more colors. A huge rainbow on the ceiling. All right. So these are comments. We are a beacon for the community, a place to feel safe and share and get support, do good locally, share globally, love that youth is embedded and you're here and not pushed aside, and shape your own path as versus heavy-handed denominational control. So we're autonomous. So beacon for you get to choose. Somebody's going to have to shout out a thing. Beacon for the community, place to feel safe and share, do good locally, share globally. What's one? Proclamation the community. Okay, we'll put that on there. I'm going with it. We got a lot of them here. You guys wrote good. So put that on proclamation, koinonia, kerygma. A place to gather, a place to be helpful, a place where you can be yourself, a place of worship, a place to learn about God, a place that is calming, a place that is fun, a place where everyone is welcome, a place with a strong community, a place to be loving to others. Which one are we choosing? All of the above, and what do they fall under? Gather, a place to gather in peace, to be helpful, where you can be yourself, worship, learn about God, a place that's calming, fun, where everyone's welcome, strong community, and loving to others. Which one's that? Why would you feel there'd be proclamation? I wouldn't disagree. Oh, we would like a people. So all of these things tell people who and how we are. Okay, well, I can take that. We should have Star Wars clone something. And Legos. Whether it's Star Wars and Lego. So we have Legos. I'm not sure that we could have Star Wars, but we always say, the Holy Spirit, may the force be with you, right? And may that. So where would that fall under? Community, worship, teaching, teaching, because we have to learn about Star Wars to learn how they're connected. All right, we'll put that in teaching. Teach the world to love God and one another, and all else will fall into place. Oh, teaching, Didache. That one's going to Didache. Become the service hub of Merton, especially once Darlene Haferman retires. Offer food pantry and meal services, clothing closet, advise families of our local services would be there, offer spiritual services for those who want from our big back room. All of those things are service, and they're going to go under diaconia, the last one down there. Now, I hope Ben and Jeremy, you're in council, you realize what we're doing, right? Okay, good. Be known as a place of welcome in the community. Welcome in the community goes where? Koinonia. All right, put that under koinonia. All right. Longer or more service projects, creative maintenance or response team for storms and other expected needs. So, like we're in the ark, everybody get out their paddle, right? So more service projects or then the other one is going to be response for storms or other expected needs. So that's also, it could be for us, but it could also be for somebody else, right? So how about service, diaconia? Okay, going to diaconia. More involvement with Veterans Affair organizations. Veterans Affairs. If we work with veterans, that's also diaconia. Okay, diaconia, the last one there. Learn from our mistakes. Didache. Do more to help the hungry and the sick. Reach out to those who believe differently from us. Plant more trees and flowers. Which one do you want to? Let's go learn from our mistakes. Let's put that under Didache, the middle one. Continue to proclaim what the UCC and St. John's is in worship and share with the community the fellowship and service we have at the spaghetti dinner, brat fries, and service to area charities. Continue to proclaim. Somebody put it in there, proclamation, right? How our church is the blossoming of biblical and personal history. All right. What did they say? Church history, our history, biblical church history. Didache. Okay. Singing Alleluia chorus as a congregation at Easter. Ooh, I don't care. We could do it. I have a lesson where you hold up the cards. Yes. Okay. So singing in worship, what is that? Liturgia, right? Dream of more choir singing. That's in Liturgia. And welcome another refugee family with go in diaconia. Okay. What was that? We're not quite done with the family we have, but they are getting more and more self-sufficient as days go by. All right, we got them all on there? Okay, good, because this is gonna, so you guys can have a seat. I'll take the tape up. This work that we just did is liturgia, the work of the people. It is worship. And what this is the council is going to be spending some time doing some vision casting. When I came, people asked me, Pastor, what's your vision for the church? And I said, other than IDK, right, is a warm, glowing place on the corner in the heart of Merton. And that's what we are. We have a fire pit outside to declare that. The community knows who we are. It is that. And that can stay and continue. But what's the next vision? What's more? And how should we move forward? That's what we get to do together and vision that. And so the council's going to be spending some time in the next couple of months doing that. So if you come up with other things, take an index card or two home. Or if you just come up with an idea, text me and we'll just throw them into the pot. And who knows what we will come up with of how we will continue to be perpetually transitional and continue to be doing the work and love of God as we live into the promise that we don't yet see. Got it? You got your 5 words in Greek. Look at you. I learned something this morning, and all 5 of those work together. They intersect. And it was hard. Sometimes you're like, which one is it? Because they intersect, they overlap, and that's the way it should be. But all of that is how we shape our own faith and how we share that faith out in the community. You guys did good work. You did good work. So thank you for that, and amen.